Okay, let's go.
Hey everyone, this is Steve from Natural Selection Angling, and today we're going to be making some spoons. Check it out, man. We got a number 5, 4 3/4, and we've got a number 4, which is 3 3/4. And we got some of this holographic labeling that we're going to apply. Some of it looks better than other, but I want to make sure that whatever I use, I maximize the yield on it. I could use it this way. It'll trim down to this size, but I want to make sure I don't make a mistake here. So I'm going to arrange it properly and cut out the size of the entire spoon. All right, my client for this project is really particular, and he asked me to recreate a spoon that was made by Cabelas like 25 years ago. It's not made anymore. The materials aren't available anymore, so I have to kind of experiment and figure it out. And essentially what it is a UV tape spoon with dots on it, colored dots, and a thick resin coat with a gold 3D eye. So that's what I'm going to try to make here. And first things first, we get the tedious part out of the way. I'm just going to use the spoon itself to trace out the shapes. And what I see is I can get 3 big spoons and 3 little spoons on each sheet. And my client has ordered 7 of the large and 8 of the small. So this really works out well because I'll make 1 extra in case I have a little mistake. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a jig that's going to help me work with the labeling and get it to its final configuration. And I'm just going to trace out the spoon on the cardboard and mark where the holes are for reference. And once I have that done, then I'll cut these out and use them as templates or jigs for the labels. So what I'm going to try to do in this video is show you how to just use things that you have around the house. You're going to see I don't use any special tools, no machinery. We're just going to, full on manual make this spoon. It's kind of rewarding in its own way, but it is tedious as hell, guys. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so when I cut these jigs out, I'm going to cut exactly on the line, right? I want this thing exactly the size of the outside dimensions of the spoon. And I don't want anything to grow on me so that it's maybe too big later and I don't find that out until I apply it to the spoon. It's hanging over the edges. Okay, so now we have 2 templates here. But here's the problem, right? The label is flat, but the spoon is round. Not only is it rounded, it's rounded on 2 separate planes, okay? So that makes the label that you apply to it want to bunch up. And the way you avoid wrinkles is to slot the tape before you apply it. And you could go online and look at pictures of spoons. Every single one of them is done this way, commercially. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the measuring reticle on the craft mat here, and I'm going to lay out the spacing evenly. But most importantly, I'm going to make it symmetrical, right? So the idea here is to have everything symmetrical and to use the jig to make everything repeatable. And then I'm just going to use a straight edge to draw some lines on here. And then I'm going to connect the little marks that I just made to that center line. And it's going to create these little wedge shapes. And that's where I'm going to remove the material. Okay, all these little pieces are going to get cut out. And then I also have to cut out around the holes in the spoon. Don't want to label over those. So I'm just going to use this template with a circle and, draw a half circle. You can see I'm being pretty deliberate here, and the reason is because the template or the jig is the boss here, right? It's our master gauge. And if we don't get that right, then the drift from where we wanted it to be to where it ends up just gets larger and larger. So I'll do this for both sizes, number 4 and number 5. Now here comes the fun part. I'm just going to use these craft shears that have a half moon shape to cut out the ends of the spoon. I just lucked into these. My wife had them from work for some reason, and she was going to give them away or throw them away. And I was like, man, give me those. And I didn't know if I would use them, but here we are. All right, so again, just take your time and be careful. Get this part exactly right. Okay, now I'm going to do the other size, and then we're going to do the really fun part. We're going to get out the shears, and we're going to cut out all of those little tiny wedges, okay? And when you're doing these, what we're going to begin now is we're going to start cutting inside of the lines, because I don't want these things to end up this large, right? I want it to be a little smaller. And so when I transfer these marks onto the back side of the tape, then I don't want them to continue to grow. I want them to continue to get smaller. So I'm going to leave the lines here, right? And now I'm going to mark up the labels inside the line, right? So it's going to get a little smaller. And here, all I'm doing is making sure that each part of this little triangle intersects the outside perimeter of the spoon diagram, so that I know where to start the shears. And this is just angle in, angle out. That's what you're looking for here. Okay, these are done. And I have all these ready to be cut manually, one at a time. Just going to carefully cut around these. And again, I'm going to cut right on the line. I want this exactly the size I made it. It's just the right size. And if I cut it right on the line, then when I put my jig on top, the jig will be exactly the same size. Okay, what's important here is not to open and close the scissors too much, right? You want to make smooth cuts, and you want to try to do it in one shot. Try not to come up short. It's okay if you go a little bit too long, but you see what I just had to do there and pull that little piece out? You don't really want to do that, because then you don't have a perfectly flat surface. It won't matter because I'm going to epoxy this anyway, but if you were just going to spray it with lacquer or acrylic or KBS Diamond Clear, it would be sticking up. Right, so now I'm going to clean this blank with isopropyl alcohol, 99%, and after this I'm never going to touch it with my fingers again. And I'm not going to rough up this spoon because this label is really, really thin, okay? And I want as much of it touching the spoon as possible to get the best adhesion possible. And if I rough it up, the glue can't be more than a couple microns on this label, right? And then it might leave spots where it doesn't touch. Also, it's a hex spoon already, so it's going to be a pain to get it done. Okay, now the video got corrupted for this, and I apologize, but you're just going to work the label on from the skinny end to the fat end by pushing down the center. And then what you're seeing here is I'm using firm pressure with my finger and a microfiber cloth to push out from the center so that all of the bubbles and slack moves to the edges. That thing looks banging already, man. All right, again, did I mention this customer is very particular? This thing has 6 spots on it. Each one's a different color. I'm going to shake up the paint real good so I don't have problems. I made a little color map of the actual spoon that he has that shows where the dots are and what colors they are, and I'm just going to apply them as such. Now, I'm going to start with the fluorescent yellow because it's the lightest color, okay? I have to clean the gun between every single color. And it's only one dot, right? One dot clean, one dot clean. And I'm going to go from the lightest colors to the darkest colors so that the dark colors don't foul my lighter paint. Okay. Now, if there's a little bit of yellow left in the gun when I hit the neon green, no big deal. Okay. You're not going to see it. But if there's black left in the gun when I hit any other color, including purple, it's going to look terrible. Right. So I'm just going to work my way from lighter to darker. And here I'm applying the last dot, which is the black one. Then you can see, you know, I'm letting the air stay on the whole time and I'm just working the trigger. And you should get used to doing that or you get a lot of tip dry. Now, this guy, he tells me, okay, that the paint has a halo to it, but it has a very solid center. Right? And again, knowing how my client is, I'm going to do exactly what he wants. So I allowed some overspray on the dots, and then I'm just going to take the handle of a paintbrush and physically put a little round circle in the middle of each dot. And this will look exactly how he expects it to look. Now, to preserve the work I've just done, I'm going to coat it with 40-30 clear. This is Createx, but you could use any clear, whatever you use is fine. And the idea here is that it's like a protective laminate. Okay, so if I touch it with my finger or whatever, I can wipe it down without messing up the paint, right? So this just preserves my work. And in between each coat, I'm going to hit it with a hairdryer to set it. And then I'm just going to put on a couple of nice coats here. You don't have to go crazy because we're going to epoxy it, okay? And the epoxy adheres really well to 40-30 clear and UVLS. So this is going to work fine. You don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to prepare the surface, sand it, or anything. I recommend you never try that because you're going to sand right through this, you know, single micron layer of 40-30, and then you're going to ding up the paint. And then you're going to kick yourself for getting too cute by half. All right, so again, not too heavy. You don't want any drips or anything like that. You can always add, but you can't take it away. Again, so very particular. It has to be a gold eye. It has to be 5 millimeters, and it has to be refractive on holographic tape, right? So luckily I had some of these because I make a lot of crankbaits and flies. Sometimes I use the gold eyes, but I had some. I'm not going to use crazy glue or anything like that because I could drip and have a problem. None of that's going to matter because it's going to get 2-part epoxy over the top. So I'm just going to set the eye down using its own adhesive, and that's fine. Now, I use a 2-part epoxy that's 1-to-1 by volume mix, but I'm going to mix such a small volume that it's impossible to tell if it's equal using a graduated cylinder. Okay, so what I've done is I've determined the specific gravity of each part of the mix. So for every gram of resin, I need 0.83 grams of hardener. Okay, so I'm going to use 0.83 and 1. And by using the craft scale, I can get it down to 1/100th of a gram. So I'm going to get it extremely close to the nominal values, and I get a fantastic clear coat every single time. And it's just because of this. Like 90% of what you guys complain about with clear coats is your workflow. All right, so I'm going to keep knocking it off the sides and stirring it until it's clear, but I'm not going to stir it too fast because I don't want to kick bubbles into it. Now I'm just going to take a soft paintbrush and I'm going to paint it right on the surface. And this should feel slippery, right? There should be enough material on the brush so that when you move the brush across the surface, it's very slippery. It shouldn't feel tight or like it shouldn't pull on the bristles of the brush. If that's happening, the brush is too dry or the material's starting to set, okay? So either way, use more material and then hurry up. And that looks pretty good, man. Check this thing out. That thing's popping already. All right, and the title of the video is you can do this for $2, right? The blank costs about $1. The paint was maybe 10 cents worth. The labels maybe 10 cents worth. And then maybe 80 cents for a 3X 2.0 hook and a couple of stainless steel extra strong split rings. All right, so then I put it into the turner, which is just a cup turner. They cost like 20 bucks on Amazon. And I have a reptile heating pad in there that keeps it at 77 degrees. A few hours later, bang. Hey, thanks for joining me today. This was a really cool project and it was fun to do with you. Channel's growing. I got about 30 videos now and I need your help to make it grow. So please like and subscribe and set that alert so you get the heads up.